Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gilberto Silva show. We are back, me and my friend Tim Chase. After a while, don't speak. Both of us has been so busy with other projects. That's why we are few weeks away from the podcast. But keeping our eyes and mind very close to what is happening to football world. A lot of things has happened in the last past weeks, but hope we can today bring some stories back and some opinions and refresh our mind a little bit. Welcome back, my friend.
Hello, mate. It's been a busy few weeks in football, hasn't it? We go for the podcast for a few weeks and the world falls apart.
Yeah.
What's going on? Also, look, my hair's growing back as well.
It's not bad. I think you were a bit stressed because we will talk too much, maybe.
No, it's because the kids were at home. They've gone back to school now. It's started to grow again. How are you? How's the family? All good?
Yes, from good. Thank you. Everything okay. Just, I've been busy here with other projects here, I told at the beginning, but family is okay. The kids, yeah, it's a tough time, as we know. Brazil, hope the situation is getting better as long the vaccination keep going. I, for what I understand, it seems that the situation in UK improved due to the vaccination.
Yeah, I think it's the lockdown has gone quite well. This one, I think people are taking it a bit more serious. It was really tough. So the first lockdown happened, and it was like March time, and then there was another one in the summer, and we were just going to have barbecues and drink in the garden. This things. The lockdown in the winter was really tough because we couldn't go out anyway. We all get a bit irritable. Lots of sliding tackles on the children between the children. There was a few injuries early on in the season, but now everything's better. And so with the vaccination, I don't think the UK government did particularly well during the pandemic, if I'm honest, and that's my opinion. But I think they're doing an incredibly good job with the vaccination. So I get vaccinated next Tuesday with my vaccination.
That's good. That's good.
So hopefully I'll still be here.
Nice. Right. Yeah, I guess for everyone, for every country, it's been a very different scenario to deal with this pandemic. It's something new for our generation. It's tough, I think, to make the right decision. What's the right? What's wrong? It's about everyone, all of us, to do our job properly as well, just to help. Instead of always point our fingers, always criticize. It's so easy to criticize decision of others. But as long as we don't do our job to cooperate, it's always tough. Let's be positive that very soon the situation will be controlled with the vaccination. We have like a better hope for everyone. Everyone will be, let's say, less exposed to the virus.
Yeah,
let's be positive. But you have some interesting thing to tell us. Very important thing.
I've seen my new hoodie.
Nice talk.
Yeah, so it's from an old school friend. In fact, I went to school with her sister Anna. She's probably part of the friendship group. So her name's Kelly Lynch. No, it was Kelly Good. Her second, so she's got 3 young boys. The middle kid, Cameron, she recently found was autistic, and it's what we call hidden kind of symptoms and things. So no one really knows that he has it, but she kept on finding she was going to the park and almost being a little bit embarrassed or apologising for her kids, not poor behaviour, but like distant behaviour, to typical autistic behaviour. And she was going, "Oh, don't worry about him, he's autistic," and kind of keeping going around talking about this sort of stuff. And she's going, I know I need to do it so that people don't think he's a bad kid, because there's nothing worse as a parent than everyone in the park thinking your kid's shithead or an arsehole or just bad behaviour. But it's just him, he's autistic. So she's created an online store called Autism Club, which is what she's sent me one. So it's #Autism Club. And she tried it out. She gave Cameron a hoodie when he went to the park, and posted a picture on her Instagram, and got such amazing feedback from other parents that are going through similar things that she went, well, actually, this is a really subtle way of talking about things and letting people know, so everybody feels comfortable about it. So she now opened an online store for t-shirts and hoodies like this for adults and for kids to help let people know, it makes everyone's life a little bit easier. So so she sent me one, and I said I'll have a talk about it with you. So I'm sure there's one in the post, but your postman likes to keep all your merchandise that we send you. So You check out, see if any postmen in Brazil have got Autism Club hoodies on. But yeah, if you have someone you know in your family or a friend has autism and you want to hear a bit more, go to autismclub.co.uk and you'll find all the information there.
That's good. No, that's good. I'm proud of you, mate. Well done.
Hey, it's nothing to do with me. It's all about Kelly. Kelly's
yeah, but well done, Kelly. Now I think it's important we raise our voice just to give voice for people who really need help. I remember when I was at Arsenal. When I was there, I don't know how it works right now with Arsenal Foundation, but on that time when I was there, every year Arsenal embrace like one social project and support them over the season. I think was my last season, if I'm not wrong, we went to a notice project where they look after so many kids, and different levels of the autism.
Yeah,
And
isn't it?
yeah, there are, for what I understood, I'm not, expert, about it, but from what I understood, there are different levels of autism. And the goals for them, was to build up like a sports center and cover them where they could play sports, kind of sport, football, basketball, whatever they want to do. But to have this place proper built. And Arsenal was supporting them, raise money and give voice for the project was really nice, And this was my experience with Autism project. I hope from here we can support somehow, and as much we can. We are always open for every project if they want to send us some information. We are here to help and give them voice. Sometimes it's not that much, but it's from the deepest part of our heart to support as much as we can. And I think this is what we need, mate. For the moment we are, and for everybody, be human as human should be.
Absolutely.
Helpful, help people. The moment is tough. I believe some places are dealing with the problem a little bit better, but it's been new for everyone. And I hear bad news from everywhere in the world, in different places. People sometimes, I have friends, from many places in the world. And when they call me, sometimes they look a bit shocked. I'm concerned about Brazil. How is it? I say, yes, we are facing tough time like everywhere in the world, in every country. And we have to be together at the moment. Sometimes not so easy because the politicians sometimes they are crazy the way they work. But as a human being, you have to support each other. This is what we have to do. And we are here in this channel to be, in a better way, help as much we can. Well, this is great, very emotional.
A good start. That's why.
Yeah, it's a good start.
Just to go on to a point you made. So if there are any other charities, last year, obviously, I lost a friend to suicide, and we did a load of work with a campaign against living miserably, which I think has now gone even crazier due to the pandemic. People are suffering with their mental health. So, we are parents. And the reason why you and I are such good friends is because our core values about family are so aligned and so similar. We obviously have had different careers, very different careers, but it's that brings us together. And it's the same as humanity, right? We all got to do our part. So if you're a charity and you want to talk to us about some stuff, drop me a DM on Twitter or something. It's Tim Chase TC on any social media platform, and we'll see if we can work together on this.
Fantastic. Last 2 weeks we were away on the podcast. A lot of talking, a lot of thinking happened.
I don't even know we're going to be here. We need to do a Netflix series about what's been going on in the world of football. We're going to be here for hours.
Yeah. It's so many talk, so many things. But it's not something new now, because I think the past 2-3 weeks, everyone is talking about Super League, protesting all the fans, especially in England. I've seen what happened in Manchester, Arsenal. Been a lot of talking around the world, especially watching some English stars, English players, ex-players, former players, superstars like Gary Neville, Carragher, some other people talk about it, have expressing their opinion about what Super League was look like, But well, there's so many things to talk,
Well, let's
and
start from the beginning, I guess.
let's see.
Where were you when you first heard about it? How did you hear about it?
Well, nowadays it's quite easy, for us to get information. We with the social media, we get information every time. It's so easy. But I've seen a very strong saying from Gary Neville when this came out, public, about their intention about this. I don't know, it's kind of social club in football, where
Private members club.
yeah, how to say?
Private members club.
Exactly. When it came out, it sounds very strange to me. Like for, I think most people in football, people who love football, people who understand the culture of football, very strange because traditional clubs, where many of them, they have more than 100 years of history, and it sounds very, very negative in the football world because it seems like everything was hidden from the rest of the world of football, the rest of the world, from hidden from people, from the fans, from the UEFA, from FIFA, just to have their way to do things. And somehow, when you think about football, is to unite people. Looks like, from outside, is that they want to have their private one just for themselves, because it was hidden, just came out, when everything was ready to launch. It became very negative among football fans because we are all fans of football. This is the reality.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you are a supporter of any club, if you work in the media, if you work for any club, if you are the owner, somehow you are a fan of football. As a fan of football, I think every decision when you make in football, you have to think very careful. Don't forget about the history. Don't forget about the fans. What's made up of football? How football started. You cannot ignore the story of football. Ignore uh, the own story of its club.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was so tough to everyone to understand why. The reason is money. The reason was because they believe they are the biggest clubs in the world and they have to have their private club, just private competition apart from the others. But did they not forget why they became so big over the 100 years? They need those other clubs, you know, to to make them improve over the years.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the questions we might have. We are, I think people are trying to answer, are trying to digest and understand why this at the moment we are, when the world are suffering, when we are talking about pandemic, and some clubs are talking about how to generate more money.
Mm-hmm.
This somehow, at the moment, it's very controversial for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to kind of unpack about this, but I think so. Most of the Premier League clubs now are owned by a foreign owner, and we let them in, and the price for the players went up, the salaries went up, everything went up, and I think we were happy for them to do the whole taking the money thing whilst we were still getting something from this. But these big owners don't understand the history and what it means to the community of every single club in the world. It doesn't matter if you're Stenning Town Football Club, my village football team, the ground that you've seen. It may only be that 200 people watch them every game, but that's 200 people in a tiny village of 8,000. It's huge for them. They follow them on social media. They know the players. They see the players. Some are postmen, some are plumbers, some are butchers. They're all part of the community of Stenning Town. And they're Stenning in each village or city, their football club sometimes is the very identity of the people in that village. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you're Champions League football or you're the bottom rung of football. Football is entrenched within the community spirit of towns and villages and cities around the world. And these big investors have come on board and have not really taken time to understand that. Like some of these clubs, all the clubs started by working men. You know, they were dockers, they were builders, they were whatever. And they started this club like Manchester United as a club to play football with. And they, through the success of their communities, they pushed them up through the ranks to where we are now, this wonderful game that's global. We get to watch football all the time. We have these wonderfully talented players that we watch all the time. And the players, the new owners don't get that. I think they've seen it as an investment. And this isn't just an individual. I think they've seen it as an investment. Going through, okay, we can make more from that. And they're wrongly now assuming, right, because of the pandemic, we've lost loads of money. So we need to make more money to kind of cover that because we've made 200 million loss or 100 million loss or whatever. They've not thought about the fan that there's a season ticket holder and has gone to every game for the last 20 years, or they are new to the sport, that you don't understand, they don't understand how going to a game, seeing their mates, sitting next to the same people, having a beer at half time, having a beer after the game, how important that is for the fans. And that's why they do this. Sometimes that one day to go into a game is enough for them to get rid of their shit life that they don't enjoy. That one event, going to one game and seeing those people, they don't care about their shit life with their wife that nags them, or that they're divorced and they never see their kids, or they hate their work, or that they're depressed, or that something's going on. But the owners haven't realised that this is an out for them. This is how they deal with their life. And they haven't taken the understanding to realise how important that is. Now, these people that go to the clubs have had that taken away from them for a year. So now they're not seeing the one thing that gets them through their life, or the one bit of enjoyment that they have because they're incredibly stressed. That's been taken away from them. So what is the next thing that happened? They wanted to charge people to watch that game. So not only have you got your Sky subscription, you now have to pay an extra 15 quid to watch the game with the TV people you want. That was drastically unsuccessful. 32,000 people was the biggest game. 32,000 people bought a game. That was the most successful. So that was rightfully got rid of. And now this comes on board. And I think fans have just gone, absolutely no more. I'm not taking it anymore. You don't speak for me. You don't speak for my club. I don't know what you're doing. You don't talk to us. There's no transparency. No one goes through this. You've come in with your money, fine, but you don't understand us as a club. You don't know anything about us. And I think that's where fans have just gone, enough is enough. We're not going to stand here and take it anymore. We actually realise that the power that they kind of have. Now, I don't think any of us will agree with some of the protests that they did at Manchester, breaking in, smashing things, going onto the pitch and doing some vandalism and stuff. But the protest part of it, because I think they have been more vocal about the ownership of the Glaziers more than Arsenal and Liverpool things. So I think I'll shut up for a little bit. I've got a bit ranty.
No, it's right. No, it's great to have your side and your opinion because you are there. I'm here in Brazil, follow up things from here. The perception change because you are not in the country, because when you are there, you breathe exactly what is in the air because you are there. It's very important. Just, we cannot forget about what's the soul of football. This came out, a very important phrase I've learned. I've seen plenty of times from David Rocasto, from, Arsenal.
Yeah.
I just, while we were talking, I just got my phone and I would like to repeat. I believe many people heard it many, many times, but I think the moment is appropriate for this. He said, unfortunately, I didn't have an opportunity to meet him, but I remember who you are, what you are, and who you represent. What the fans and the people were not so happy because it seems like people have forget what's the soul of football, what does this mean for everybody in the community of football. Because football is not only a game.
It's not 90 minutes.
It's
not 90 minutes. Football isn't 90 minutes.
Football is the life of millions and millions of people around.
I can't remember who said it. Football isn't life. It's much more important than that.
Yes, exactly. It's more important. It's something it's very difficult for people to understand why people go mad because of their team when they lose the game, why they became so upset that they change their mood. Because it's more than a game.
Mm.
Football is more than a game. It means
Yeah.
mm, a lot, a lot
Well,
for the football fan. I think this is was tough. I think for everyone, it's still tough until they decide this is not the best thing for football. I don't think this is going to be the best thing for football, in my opinion. If they in their minds, of all these clubs who were ready to start this competition, I believe that was right. I don't think so. Maybe on their way of think, they believe it was right, but I don't think in general would benefit the whole world of football have this private club to play among themselves. Imagine every 2 weeks you have Real Madrid, Barcelona, then Real Madrid, Barcelona, then Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester every time.
well,
And they
imagine if it
strength
was Christmas. Imagine if it was Christmas every day. You'll soon get bored of Christmas,
exactly.
right?
And but the other aspect of it was the lack of competitiveness. This is another aspect because there was no relegation. There was no relegation, was not promotion. How you can motivate the players only for the money? They are going to get more money. Everyone's going to get more money. I believe we are reaching a point, especially when we look at the numbers, these numbers, and what in some place, how it has increased in terms of course, the situation is different now because they have debts because of the pandemic and so on. We understand there is a lot of money in the football. This is true. And if the goal is just to make more money, then you have to think about it seriously, And because
Why do we do more money?
imagine if we going back in time 20 years ago, 30 years ago when we were kids, we see the condition of the stadiums. The stadiums were popular for everybody. Everybody could afford to go to a stadium. I can see the image, very clear in my mind while I'm talking. When I used to go, I was in a football academy in Brazil at América Mineiro, going to the stadium. But before that, I never had an opportunity to go. But when I started to go and play for these clubs, I've seen on the street when we have a derby game or any kind of game, people walk, I don't know, 5 kilometers to watch their teams. But if you see the face, the football was popular. You have poor people, you have middle class people, you have the rich people watching football. Nowadays, with the super arenas, these poor people are not allowed to go to the park anymore. I can see the difference in Brazil. Maybe, for example, let's bring the currency, the money from the time we are now. Let's say if they used to pay 20 nowadays, now they have to pay like 60, 70, 100 in our currency, which could be translated to pounds as well. Sometimes even more. How a family member can go to a father can go to the stadium.
How can you go to the stadium and take his 2 kids or 3 kids?
Impossible. It's impossible. If you go there with 2 or 3 kids, and if you want to bring your wife, go to a family, you have to do. Maybe you have to work for a month to have an opportunity to go once a year, just to pay for the stadium. You have to pay for the driving or public transport, plus tickets and so on. If you want maybe to have grab a beer, maybe an orange juice or whatever, a water.
Yeah.
But when you see the super arenas in the past years, not only in Europe, as with Arsenal, for example, Arsenal went from hybrid to Emirates. We see now some clubs build their new stadiums, more projects in the process. I've seen the other day Everton got a project approved for a new stadium. this is somehow, we understand when it's about to go to the state is not popular anymore as it used to be in the past.
Mhm.
Now we understand that the clubs have invested a lot. They improved a lot their facilities, their condition.
Mhm.
But somehow, you have a different public from the past.
But we need to discuss why. Why do the clubs need more money? What's the most expensive thing for clubs? Players.
Listen, a lot of things has changed in football. I think this is the point. To understand this is something sometimes a bit complex.
Oh, it's massively.
Um, I believe that we reach a point in Europe where salary cap is going to be implemented at some point. When I compare, for example, my time at Arsenal from the current time, in the training ground was much less people than what it is today.
Mhm.
When you go there nowadays, there's a lot of people. I believe this happened to many clubs when they grow up their infrastructure, like Manchester United, maybe Liverpool, and with the big facilities. Tottenham now they have their new facilities, new stadium, and bigger stadium. You need to have more people. This is normal. I think everything became so big at some point. As long you increase the expense, you have to find a way how to pay for the expense. Sometimes it's hard. It's very complex for us to understand when we make this question you made. Why do they need more money? Because as long you spend more, you grow up in your infrastructure. You have to pay for it.
Mhm.
And but I think come back to the point of the Super League. I think this was very difficult for everyone. I believe the owners have realized if they were not think about it, they understood that the fans are the real owners of football in the world.
Absolutely. Right. I think that's a great saying. The fans are the real owners of football clubs. You can borrow it. You can pay some money. You can borrow it.
Yeah, this bring us to a very different reflection in the world. For us, how can we, as a human being, work together in the benefit of each other? This is something very important. For example, when the fans protest against it, was important for every fan because they belong to that place, to this club. This club belongs to them. But listen, how can we use the power of togetherness to change many things in the world?
Mhm.
Racism, for example. How can we fight against it? Let me make a question. It's difficult for us to work together to fight against it.
Mhm.
If you could fight against this project or the people fought against the Super League, why they don't do the same to fight racism?
You're 100% right.
Why they don't work together, they march together against poverty, against people who are starving, they don't have food to help people.
Yeah.
Why?
Yep.
This, is I'm not ignoring what the fans did. I think was so important for them because football is so important for all of us fans of football. But I just bring these other things together because we are part of the same society. Football have the responsibility around the world because we are part of the same society where players have been abused in social media, in their own social media, sometimes many times in the stadium.
Mhm.
We have seen a lot of problems. I think this example of how the fans came together to protest against the Super League, against the clubs owners, this is a way, an example we can use to make things better in the world. To fight against these things that make people sad, make people live miserable.
You're 100% right, mate. So, I mean, the very first thing we spoke about was my old school, with the sister of an old school friend who has an autistic child. And I saw her post on social media and I said, look, Kelly, I do a podcast with someone who's quite famous, more than me. Do you want to send me a hoodie and I can talk about it on the podcast, which give you something more exposure? I spoke to you about it and you went, absolutely right. And you said, gave some experience. So the power of our platform and the podcast and the thousands of people that listen to this podcast, we're all coming together to help Kelly. You don't even know Kelly. You don't even know what she looks like.
I'm fond of Kelly because what she does.
Exactly. And it's the same ethos.
I'm fond of everybody who are helping somebody else.
Exactly.
I don't need to know them, but I understand from my heart what she does to somebody else. It's like this to my kids, to myself, or to one of my friends. The same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a great. So I think I read the book which was about the All Blacks rugby team. It's called Legacy. If you haven't read it, maybe you would love it. And I think All Blacks are regarded as the best team, the best sports team that kind of ever exists. They've just historically just been incredible. And a few years, I can't remember how long ago it was, but about 10, 15 years ago, they changed their strategy for the recruitment. So rather than just the best players coming on, which could have bad tempers, not great for it, they had a rule. And the one rule was no dickheads. That was it. No dickheads were allowed. If you were a dickhead, you didn't get in the All Blacks team. And that's like the pinnacle, like even bigger than playing for Brazil. So they had a phrase that they said that when you got your first All Black shirt, you had an All Blacks legend giving you the shirt and said, you need to give this shirt back in a better position than when you got it. So this isn't about rugby. This is more than rugby. Being an All Black is more than rugby. We're giving you this shirt for you to look after for 5 years, 10 years, however. When you give it back to us and someone else takes your shirt, you need to have made this shirt better than how it is you are now. And that's exactly kind of what we're saying. You know, how can we make the world a better place? It sounds like a cheesy song, but there's stuff we can be doing. This is the first time football fans have got together and overpowered the owners, you know, these billionaire owners who are in their ivory towers, no one knows. Fans now hopefully realise that the power they have, but with great power comes great responsibility. Hopefully now these fans can go, right, oh shit, look what the difference we made for our club. What can we do together? If all the clubs can go together, and like you say, then we can go and have a protest and not accept this, not accept racism for a start. You're absolutely right. If we can get rid of this, we get rid of the Super League in 72 hours. Why do we stand for racism?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of cause around the world where people can fight together. Because it's very hard when you go to fight alone for some cause with just a few people. But if I give you my hand, extend my hand to somebody else, and come together, we can be powerful. We can do a lot of good things for the better of millions people around the world. Yep. And what we are saying here is not because we are against the owners of the club, because they make money, they invest the club, they have the right to get the investment back. I think just about for them to understand that it's important to respect all the principles of 8 clubs, the history, the fans, and the community. I think this is important. And as long they do what they have to do, in benefit of the club and get it back, you know, in terms of investment, I'm not against it, but it's important to respect the principle of society they are part of. You know, this is a football world. You know, this football community where everyone love what they do, love their clubs. As you mentioned at the beginning, it doesn't matter if you are in a very little village or if you are part of the biggest club, biggest clubs in the world. It doesn't matter. You know, you on your blood, on your soul, you feel wonderful because you know the community you are in. Now, who those guys, this club means to you, to your family, for all the environment. I think this is important. Let's see how things goes in the next couple of days. You know, if this conversation will keep going. But the fact for me is that the fans realize that they own football because there's no football without fans. We cannot have football also without the players. But you know, it's a community where everyone needs to understand the importance of working together. do things together. And as a former player, everyone, imagine now how boring it has been playing without fans in the stadium.
Yep. How
You
boring
know?
has it been to the fans not being able to go to the stadiums?
Exactly. Just go with their mates and the kids and parents to have to meet their friends in the stadium, have a beer, meet each other. It's strange,
Mhm.
but I hope everyone have learned that we have to work together at the same direction if you want football to be what everyone expects it to be.
Mhm.
Enjoyable, full of good players, skills around the pitch, quality football, quality people as
Mhm.
well. Spread emotion around the world because this is what football does. Football is popular not in England, not only in Brazil, everywhere in the world. Everyone talk about football.
Mhm.
I remember one thing, make me think about when we were going to play the final of the World Cup in 2002. Scolari always liked to talk to us, very motivational. Apart from the tactics, we speak. He liked to speak about the motivational situation. After he speaks about German team, the way he believes they were going to play, about our strategies to approach the game, he showed us the images of the Indians in Amazon forest. Man.
Okay.
They were in their tavern. There was an old TV there in the center of this tavern. A lot of Indians. They paint their face yellow and green, and they were there, expecting the game because the game before they were there watching.
Wow.
That moment, after that short video, when he shows the Indians in Amazon forest, the people in São Paulo, everywhere in the country, didn't say anything else for us. We understood the message. After the short video, we understood the message he wants us to absorb. And this is what football translates to everyone. The emotion, the passion. This is what we need to give back to these football fans. The love they give to us for free.
Mhm.
Not for free because they pay for it. Sometimes very expensive.
Yeah. No, but you're absolutely right. I mean, before Ellen, my girlfriend, we got together, she couldn't really care less about football. She'd watch the England game if it was a big game or something like that, but didn't really care. And obviously met me, and my whole life is sports. And I said, we kind of had a few drinks for dinner one time, and I said, "There's nothing like sports for you in your life. There was nothing that you could have about it." And we tried to explain it and didn't realize. Anyway, 2 years ago, she was pregnant at the time, so she went to bed at like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was the day where we had the Liverpool Barcelona semi-final of the Champions League, and we had the Spurs Ajax game of the Champions League the night afterwards. And those, I don't know if you remember them, but those games were just unbelievably shocking because Liverpool came back to win and go through, and then Spurs came back to win. And when Liverpool started to come back, I called her and said, "Listen, you've asked me what sports is all about. You need to come down and watch this." And bear in mind, she was pregnant. She was on one of those big medicine balls that she was bouncing up and down because she couldn't sit on a seat. And she was going, oh my God. And like getting so involved in it. And I'm not a Liverpool fan or a Barcelona fan, but you were watching it and you were so emotionally invested in it. And then the next night, I called her and said, "Listen, it's happening again. You need to come downstairs and watch this." And again, not a Spurs fan, an Ajax fan. She was going, "I totally get what you see about football now." I'm like, "I know, we're not sports fans. And if you're watching this in a movie, you go, bullshit, never going to happen." But it's happening right in front of you. And there's nothing like sports that touches your soul and your heart like it does. And then I have other memories of my son. I'm a Chelsea fan, and so is my son. I have memories that me and him still talk about. So he went to Stamford Bridge for the first time 2 years ago, and he bought his football kit. So wasn't his first football kit, but he had a Chelsea kit on that was bought from the stadium. It's too small for him now, but he still tries to wedge himself into it. And I remember I went when he was coming up the steps into the pitch area, the seats. I've got a video of him coming out and just opening up. Do you know when he got up the seats? in a stadium, and it comes out to this massive pitch. And I've got a video of him going and just being completely blown away by the noise and everything else. And that's something he was never going to forget. And then the memory of him scoring the Singer's first goal at Stamford Bridge when the whole crowd went mental and I picked him up and carried him and held him above my head. These are memories that you can't have from anything else. Only sports get that from you. And that's what the owners, I don't think, get. It's so entrenched in my soul, this memory of me and my son going to Stamford Bridge and me and Lana watch this thing. Now imagine if England won the World Cup, you know, your memory of your kids and how proud they are that their dad won the World Cup. The memories you have of the journey of going to the World Cup, lifting that trophy up and being a hero for hundreds of millions of people in Brazil. There's sports like that. You don't get movie stars that get that. I know you get movie stars that are famous, but it's only sports that really gives that heart, like edge of the seat, hairs on the back of your, on your arms, back of your necks, happening. There's only sports that does that for you.
Yeah. No, it's different. It's different. You know, it's a different feeling. Just being a fan, you may understand. I don't think, you know, sometimes it's tough even for fans to understand their passion, but this is what football does to all of us. And through this, you know, in the last couple of days, you know, it's just been noticed that Daniel Iki from Spotify wants to take over from Arsenal, wants to buy the club. And I know it just came public that behind Jerry, Patrick Vieira, and Ben Bergkamp is supporting him, and because he's also an Arsenal fan. Let's see. Let's see. I think this is very strong. You know, it came together. You know, the disinterest of Daniel after the Super League failed to start, and the hope it's done. You don't talk about Super League anymore. Yeah. But sometimes, you know, look many other business. Sometimes I listened the other day from Florentino Perez. Looks like at some points they are work behind the scene. Looks like, you know, for this league to happen at some point. Looks like, I don't know. I cannot confirm that. I cannot say this is true. Just take some comments he made. You know, this brought an opportunity to Daniel Iki put his intention to buy Arsenal, having, you know, 3 invincible guys behind him to support him. Let's see how things goes. And but one thing for me, I believe, is not so easy, especially. We are talking about a big business here. In the moment where the protests came out, Arsenal fans wants the Kroenke family out, and Daniel Iki, you know, made it public that he wants to buy. We have to wait and see how things goes, because it's not so easy to buy a club like Arsenal, especially when you make it public. Mm-hmm. My opinion, you know, and let's see, because they own the club. You know, imagine it's like you have your own business. I want to buy a business. You say no, I don't want to sell it. It's my business. It's where I enjoy to do business. This is where I invest. We have to wait and see. Doesn't matter what happened in the future. You know, if Daniel buys the club, if Kroenke's family decide to sell or not, it's important Arsenal fans don't forget exactly to be an Arsenal fan. Keep and support the club. Keep support the team, because the team need them more than ever.
Mm-hmm. And also you've got to be careful. You know, you obviously again, let's say Stan Kroenke sold the club and buys Daniel Ek. How much do you know about Daniel Ek? And I'm not saying that I know anything about him, but going from one billionaire owner to another billionaire owner, is that really the right thing to do? Surely the clubs, well, we've already said the whole of this podcast, we've been talking about how important the fans are. And I know I've read that he's been trying to engage with the Arsenal fans and the fans forums and the supporters clubs, which is great. But surely there needs to be some sort of power given to the supporters, or something needs to happen where the club goes, the supporters just aren't involved in the process at all, because otherwise you're just going to go from one billionaire owner to another billionaire owner, and the same thing might happen in 3 years' time.
Oh, that's why I have to be careful, because the protest came out, the fans, because of this, we can see Arsenal fans want their owners out. United fans want their owners out. But even though if they decide to leave, this is not something you can do it this straight away, because of the protest, something they did that affect the way fans see them from now on. They cannot change from one day to another.
Yep.
Immediately like this. Then there is another thing. Why should I leave now? The question they would ask themselves. And just because, let's say, if their way of thinking, they say, well, we made a mistake. We didn't ask the fans. We didn't ask, we didn't speak to football industry properly as we should. But this is our business. We put money in this business. For them, it's a business. For football fans, it's their life. It's a different approach. You cannot make. They have their own pride as well on this. Yeah. Why should I sell this? Maybe they are thinking like this. Why should I sell? Because we made a mistake, but we, let's say, apologize the fans, blah, 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 whatever. And now they want us out. When we came in, we were welcome, but now because of the mistakes we've made, they want straight away. Okay, hold on. If you have to do this, let's make the things right in the best way. I think they have to be, very careful in the way things have to be done.
Well, if you take
a big business.
Well, if you take a look at the Glaziers, they've invested billions into this club, and the club for the last 8 years or so has been crap. They're now second in the league. Why should they go through the heartache? And I'm not a massive fan of the Glazers, and I don't really have a dog in the fight. I'm not a Man United fan, but I stand with the Man United fans because they're fans. But why should, if you put it onto the other side of things, go Glazers, why should we sell now? Because now the club's going to start being successful. We're in the Champions League next season. We're in the final of the Europa. We'll spend some more money. Maybe we're going to win the title next year. We've gone through the heartache, and now we're starting to come back up. Why are we going to sell when the club's going to start being successful?
Well, as a fan of football, what I really want is just, everyone just do things right for the clubs. If they decide to sell, who else buy the clubs, or if they decide to stay, find a way to work together, to cooperate to each other, benefit of football. I think this is very important, my opinion.
Yep.
And let's see, the next chapter of these stories. But the fans, because we've seen the protest from Manchester United fans came on the field, and the game had to be postponed. And hope every protest, if in case they decide to do again, does not affect the players, and does not affect the security of the players, or even for the fans, for the people who works for the clubs, because these people, they are employees. They deserve, to be protected as well, respect of everybody. All the protests have to be in peace because they love the club. We understand, but just not lose their brain because they got upset with the owners.
You lose the fight. As soon as you break into a stadium or injure a police officer, then all the attention goes from focusing on the attention of removing the owners or shining a light on how bad the owners are. You remove that to going, all right, there's been violence against, you've been called vandalism, or you've ruined the pitch, or you've thrown flares at the camera crew, you smashed something up. You're taking the focus away from the reason why you're there. That's the frustrating thing. You're removing what you're talking about by being the wrong people being there, basically.
Exactly. Well, I hope that things get better, and we find a way just to keep working together in football, because Arsenal need this week the full support of the fans against Villarreal in the Europa League second leg.
Yeah. Let's first talk about Newcastle from Sunday.
Yes.
So I know you had to watch it, but I'll give you my opinion and then you can tell me what you think. So obviously 2-0 away from home. Not that I don't think going away from home really matters anymore because there's no fans in the crowd. In fact, it was really important. I can't remember where it was, but someone did a survey on crowds, on the lack of crowds and how much impact that makes against home fixtures and away fixtures. And now it's almost 50-50. So it doesn't make a difference if you play at home or away now because of the lack of fans there. So yeah, so the three shining players I thought were David Luiz. I thought his distribution was great. Obviously still not the most reliable at the back, but I don't think that's in his nature, you know. But his distribution and his creativity, I thought was great. It always gives you an out, and he kept on pinging the balls out wide to Martinelli. And I thought Martinelli had a great game. He stuck out wide, out on the left, put some great balls in. So I thought Martinelli had one of the best performances he's had since he came back from injury. And Aubameyang seemed to have a bit of a smile on his face. So I don't know if something was going on in his personal life this season. But he seems to have a smile on his face and scored obviously a decent goal with like a kung fu kick in the 6-yard box. So yeah, those are my three standout players. What did you think?
Well, listen, the moment Arsenal are in the competition, you know, how many games left? 6, 7?
Well, I don't know. I think it's maybe 4 or 5. It's 35
no,
games.
4 games. Yeah, Arsenal have 4 games to go, you know, 4 more games. Arsenal need to the best they can in order to improve their position. I don't know how much they can improve because they are here looking table. Arsenal are 9. They got 49 points. They are below Everton. Everton 33 games, Arsenal 34. Everton got 52 points, Liverpool 55, 33 games. I don't know how many more points Arsenal can make out of these 12 points they have to play. Even though if they made 12 points, you know, I don't know how much difference it's going to make for them.
We got to rely on the other team
qualify because they will be dependent of the other results as well. Because the situation now, Arsenal are out even of Europa League.
Yeah. Well, this is why the game on Thursday is one of the most important games they've had for a while since the final against Chelsea 2 years ago.
Yeah. I think it was important for them to win against Newcastle because they lost the first leg against Villarreal. It's important to win the game, to refresh the players, and bring their confidence back because this game means a lot to them for this season. Means a lot to them because give them the hope that for next season they have a chance to be in the European competitions again. And sorry?
It's a stepping stone. Last season you won the FA Cup. This season the Europa League. I know some Arsenal fans hate it, especially Troops from I don't know where he is now, but he was Arsenal fan. Oh, AFTV, sorry. I know he says I've had enough of progression. Well, that is progression.
This game, this game means a lot to them. I think they need to give everything in order to go to the final and have an opportunity to go not in a fast way or easy way, as some people say. This is a shortcut for the European competition. It's not short. It's very hard, very tough, as we can see. But they have another opportunity because look in the table of the Premier League now. It's going to be very tough to Arsenal to qualify to Europa League, even to Europa League. We spoke many times this season about working hard, to be consistent to play, to be back in the Champions League. But the moment is even tougher to them because if they don't qualify to even to Europa League, it will be tough for them. But they have an opportunity for this game against Villarreal. But they have a tough job to do.
Well, they didn't have a great performance last week, but they did get an away goal.
Yeah.
So it is only one goal.
It's not the worst thing we know, but it's not the best thing they have achieved. Because they have to win 1-0 at least. At least 1-0 they have to win the game. to go through. But it's not going to be an easy game. Listen,
Semi-final of the Europas is not supposed to be easy.
no, it's not easy. We have to consider Unai Emery in the other side.
This motivation.
Now, just a few months ago, he was at Arsenal and he got sacked. I think this is a pride moment for him.
Oh, yeah.
We give everything, can take out everything from his players to put in this game. And I think this is what he's going to use in order to get to the final. And for Arsenal, they need to give everything for this game. And it was important, the Newcastle game, but I don't know how much they can get, until the last game of the Premier League to try to qualify for the European competition, for the Europa League, for example.
Yeah, well, they can't now. I think the season's done for them. Do you know who you've got in the last game of the season? Brighton.
The lack of consistency for Arsenal, not only this season, the past season, is costing them a lot. It is strange. Maybe people are thinking, again, the same thing. But this is true. Football don't lie to you if you don't do things right.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you a question. I thought about it a while ago. I haven't spoken on the podcast for a while. There are two questions. One, how do you build consistency? And two, is consistency the last thing to come when you have a successful team?
Listen, I think the past years, Arsenal didn't have the opportunity to have the best team compared to the other clubs to compete properly. If you, I'm not saying that the players at Arsenal are not good to be at Arsenal. I don't think they are in the same level of the other top clubs. Not in general, of course, but if you compare team to team, maybe the top four clubs, they are in a better team than Arsenal.
Well, we could say we're not. This isn't an attack on Arsenal or their players, but which Arsenal player? We don't have to answer this. It's a rhetorical question. But what Arsenal player would get in one of the top four teams? I don't know if I could think of any.
Well, when you look at the position they are, it's very tough.
Yeah.
People may say Aubameyang because he scored a goal, but he dropped this season. Until last season, he was doing a great job. Like I said, surprisingly, this season has been very important for us in the past games. Scoring goals, he became a captain on many occasions, and been important for Arsenal's results because he's been scoring. Tough when you look the position they are. I'm not saying that they are not good.
No.
This is very clear. But when they are the top teams, look down trying to, what Arsenal play could fit us here, they would consider a lot, say no. At the moment we have players in our squad here, we are going to give an opportunity because they are here in the environment already.
Yeah.
If I was there, I would think in this way.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, tough.
So Thursday is where it's the season-defining game, really, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Very important game. Hope they do a great job. They had a fantastic game and score more than one.
What are we going to do? A prediction?
No, listen, mate.
Too important.
My prediction has been horrible. But listen, I'm not prediction this time, but I hope Arsenal can play for, the players can play for the season, to save until the final, because the final is going to be hard again. It looks like Manchester United have built up a good way to the final, good path. They have done great this year, a good job. And the last game, I watched that game, they did a good job against Roma. Of course, it's not defined yet, but they made up, a tough life for Rome to come back. for Arsenal, what they have to do is just, let's say if there is a last opportunity to play the best game of the season, they use it.
Mhm.
They do what they have to do in order to get the next, get the opportunity to play the final again. Because it was last year, last 2 years, 2 seasons ago, they were the final against Chelsea where they lost. And being there again is a new opportunity they might have to win the title. Everything is possible when you are there in the final.
Absolutely. Nice. Well, it's obviously been a longer edition than our usual podcast, but we've had lots to catch up on. Good to see
After
you face again, mate.
after a few weeks.
Yeah.
That was great. I think was important. The points we thought here was a bit longer, but very important to mention about all these things. And it was great. Great to have you on board again and talk about these important things in football. Everything matters for us, especially when, because we love football, we love what we do.
Mhm.
Take care. All the best, you and family.
You too.
See you soon, my friend.
Cheers, Captain.